Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall Greider. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall Greider.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Excited to be connecting in with you. And today, we're going to be talking about growth and resilience. How do we expand and grow in those areas when there's so much that we can face that maybe we're overcoming or we're in the midst of, or even celebrating or stretching or unexpected things? There's so much. Even those great things that happen to us are also stretching us and causing us to grow. The things that challenge us or knock us down even. How do we get up again? How do we stay resilient and continue to show up and continue to bring those things forward that matter most? Today, we have an amazing guest that's going to be leaning in and empowering us on this journey and really helping us be able to grow and be resilient and continue to step forward and shine. So I'm very excited to have our guest, Robin, joining us. And just to get things started, I wanted to take a moment and connect in with our heart. Sometimes we are moving so fast, we're so busy, we're not breathing deeply, and we're not listening to what our heart and our spirit's sharing with us. We become disconnected and the day runs us. So today I'm declaring this your day, your time. I celebrate that you're leaning into this opportunity to be poured into, to be built up, to be supported. So I claim this is your time. And in order to receive the most out of it, I want you to fully breathe it in, to be fully present, to take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, like through a straw. Slow down just a moment. Feel that air, that oxygen coming to every cell of your body. Let's take another deep breath in through the nose, all the way to your toes, and out through your mouth, like through a straw. Beautiful, becoming fully present. And as you're breathing, I invite you to actually put both hands on your heart, feeling that beat of your heart, becoming present. Breathing, slowing down just for a moment. This time is yours. And I invite you to close your eyes. You're absolutely safe. Taking that breath in through your nose. Eyes closed, safe. This is your time. And feel the beat of your heart. And as you do so, what is it that you need today that will encourage you, empower you, support you on your journey? What is it you need today, real time, to support you, encourage you, empower you, reminding you of your value, your worth, your brilliance? What do you need today that you are willing to receive? Because you absolutely have choice. So what is it that you need and are willing to receive? Beautiful. Let's take a breath. Come back into the room. Beautiful. Open your eyes and write down what was laid on your heart that you need and are willing to receive. Let's bring it forward. Interact with it real time. It's not something out there swirling around, but something we are interacting with, we are claiming, we're open to receiving. We don't have to figure out how. This is an opportunity for you to let it unfold, to be on the lookout with great excitement and anticipation to get that support that you need in an unexpected way. Like, you get to be surprised. You don't have to figure it out. You get to be open and surprised at the unexpected and wonderful way that this need, this reminder, this thing that has been placed on your heart gets to move forward in a positive, powerful, and supported way. Beautiful. Now, as we go around our virtual room, I'm going to ask our amazing guest, Robin, to share what was laid on her heart. Just a short share when she took a moment to stop, pause, and listen. What did she hear? What did she feel? Robin, I'd love for you to share.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Rebecca. It's great to be here. And actually what came to mind was the notion of abundance. When we're breathing, we are breathing in this atmosphere that completely surrounds us. And some time ago when I was, being guided in some breathing exercises, the thought occurred to me that every single person on the planet could take a big, huge inhale at the same time, and we would not run out of oxygen. We would not run out of atmosphere. And so we are literally surrounded by abundance, and every single breath we take is a manifestation and an exercise in abundance. And so no matter what difficulties and complications face us, we can pause for a moment, just take a breath, and be literally reminded that I am surrounded by abundance. I am surrounded by abundance, and then that puts us in a more positive mindset, increases our creativity, then we can start looking for more solutions to the situations that surround us.
I love that. And what a beautiful illustration. That's absolutely right. We can all take a breath together, and there's enough oxygen and air for everybody. And I love how that also connects us in that place of abundance and connection. How beautiful, beautiful that is. Thank you.
Definitely.
Love that. Well, we are getting ready to go to our first commercial break. And as we do that, listeners, I invite you, let's take that collective breath in and really feel that, believe that, embrace that position of abundance, no matter what we're going through, that we can take that collective breath and that connection together, that moment, that pause. And as we go into this first commercial break, here's my bonus tip for you today. I always love bonus tips, the inside scoop. So these commercial breaks were designed on purpose for you, to support you. So not only are there updates and information and things that we want you to be aware of, but secondly, it carves out perfectly these 2-minute moments for you to be present, to breathe, to process and receive all that serves, release what no longer does. And you get to give yourself the gift of these 2 minutes throughout the show, built in on purpose to support you. So enjoy these 2 minutes, and we'll look forward to continuing our conversation in just a moment.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes just for you and that you appreciated that breath, that time to slow down a little bit, to center, to connect in, to realize there is enough for all. And that collective breath is such a beautiful illustration and example of that. Well, I'm very excited to more formally introduce our amazing guest. You got to hear a little bit from Robin in our opening segment, but I wanted to share a little bit of her background so you understand, and this is just a taste of Robin. So I encourage you to read her bio, go in, go deeper. We'll share her contact information at the end of the show so you can connect and take things to another level. But let me share just a little bit of her background. So Robin Johnson is a resilience and well-being advisor. She helps people thrive by building resilience, discovering and developing personal character strengths. She has taught resilience skills to numerous professional organizations, including the YWCA and church groups. She works with SafeChecks and is the primary editor for the fraud bulletin used by the FBI and the Federal Reserve and other organizations throughout the country. So high level of trust, high level of expertise. And she is passionate about teaching and inspiring organizations to become more humane, ethical, and absolutely resilient. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful, dynamic, and resilient Robin Johnson to the show. Welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate being invited here. And I had forgotten that this was only call-in and not Zoom. And I normally do not wear a T-shirt to Zoomcast or broadcast. But I thought, given the title of today's program, Growth and Mindset, I am wearing my 65 years of being awesome January 1957 T-shirt, which I created for my 65th birthday back in January. So I thought it was completely appropriate for today's session on growth and mindset. And you're never too old to keep growing and learning.
Oh, I love that. 65 years of being awesome. I love that. And thank you for sharing. Since we don't get to see that visually, now we can all picture it. What color is it, your T-shirt?
It is navy blue. And in the middle is a kind of a scene of it looks like a sunset at the beach because I live in the Los Angeles area. And the 65 years of being awesome encircles this round sunset. And then January 1957 in big, huge letters down at the bottom. So, and I made it into a bag and a mug and all kinds of things, a magnet for my fridge. So I totally owned my birthday.
The whole year. I love this. Thank you for sharing. I love that. Really celebrating each year and your life and owning it, claiming it, sharing it out. It's making me smile. And what a powerful way to show up and bring that energy to the show and share it out in the world. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for providing the visual since we don't have the camera on today. So that's brilliant to be able to visualize. Well, I'd love to take a moment and talk about why this work of resilience, well-being, like to me, well-being and embracing the journey, you're walking that talk, but why is this work about helping organizations, helping individuals, teaching and inspiring them to become more humane, ethical, to build their resilience, to build those skills? Why is that personally so important to you?
That is a great question. I'll address the organizations first. And one of my very favorite quotes comes from It's a Wonderful Life, where Jimmy Stewart and George Bailey is confronting Mr. Potter. And Mr. Potter's been talking about the rabble, in these homes that George Bailey was building. And George Bailey says, this rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community. Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath? And I take this as an analogy, and I say that we adults spend most of our lives at work. And is it too much to have workplaces that are humane, ethical, and resilient? I don't think so. And I don't think anybody listening in on this show thinks so. And there are many things that organizations can do to make their workplaces be places where people feel valued and respected, where they contribute, where they can have a good experience.
So powerful.
But,
thank you for sharing.
So that's for organizations, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is so empowering. I can feel that conviction and the passion in what you're sharing, and really taking that stand that it is possible. It isn't too much to ask, and it can be done and should be done. So I love that you're standing in that space. So is there, when you look at your years of experience in this and working with different organizations, is there a place that you would invite an organization to start as they're thinking, yeah, I'm in line with that, but I don't know where to begin? I don't know if we are. What do I do with that? Is there a first step or question you would encourage them to reflect on?
Well, linking back to the title of this show, your growth and mindset for individuals, and I realize I didn't answer the second part of your question, which is dealing with individuals. But organizations are really made up of individuals. And so looking at individual resilience, then there are many things that, that people can do to help build their own resilience. And then going back to organizations, if you look at, the theories of well-being, there are many, many theories of well-being. And one of the most studied and vetted and researched is called PERMAH, P-E-R-M-A-H. The P-E-R-M-A was developed by Martin Seligman, who's known as the father of positive psychology. The H was added later by Michelle McQuaid, who is one of Marty's students. But this is an acronym. We call them the PERMAH pillars, which stand for positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, accomplishments, and health. And there's actually the PERMAH survey that organizations can do to see where do we land on each of these components of well-being, and the individuals can also look at these components of well-being. But looking at growth, looking at mindset, looking at resilience, they all intertwine, to make things better.
Beautiful. I love that. And I love that there are some tools and resources out there where you can do a check-in, because I think so often we can think our organization is working a certain way, or our perspective, or we think it's all balanced or working well, but we're not doing that check-in. And we can miss things. So I love that there's a way to do that, to measure. And I love that it can be used for individuals as well as an organization. And then with that awareness, they can look at making shifts both individually and as an organization. I love that there are tools and resources, and what a great place to start, because information is so powerful. If we don't know, we're assuming and we're guessing. Let's figure it out and then take action. So I love that. So we've been talking about resilience. We've been talking about mindset. We've been talking about growth, and I'd love to start tying some of these things together. So when we look at growth, I know there's a connection. You see a connection with education. So education and growth, how do those connect?
Very good. Well, I am just a strong believer in education, and I believe that education is foundational to growth. I really don't think you can have very much growth without education. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't have to be formal education. I mean, I'm a very huge proponent of formal education. I actually, at the ripe old age of 62, went back to University of Pennsylvania as an executive program. So we'd fly back there every few weeks, and got my second master's in applied positive psychology, and which is one of the reasons why I'm on this show, trying to, share what I learned with the world. And so I believe that education, both formal education and informal education, is what expands our minds to new ideas, gives us the courage to try new things, gives us the ability to see what's working, what isn't working, how can I improve that in my life. So I think there's a massive, huge connection between education, just informal education, you're reading a book, listening to a podcast, doing a course online, and then the more formal education is also very powerful. So I think I just don't think you can have a lot of growth without education on some level.
Thank you for sharing that. And to me, as you're sharing what it does and how it helps you expand, try new things, it also sounds very empowering to me. And thank you for sharing that, going back at 61 or 62, that you went back and now have this passion to share this new information and empower others and help them expand. And I think sometimes we reach a certain place or an age or whatever the metric is that we're looking at, and we've decided we're now kind of looking back instead of forward and growing, or looking at new things that we can bring forward. And I love that you have this passion to continue to grow and to learn and try new things and take a stand for it and help others do that. And I think we can do that at any walk in life, any place that we are choosing to stand, that we can keep growing, we can keep learning, and we can keep touching people's lives. So thank you for being willing to do that, being willing to be on our show and take this stand and share just tastes of what you have discovered and your passion for bringing it forward. So if we are looking at the education tied to growth, so then there is a connection between growth and mindset. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Mindset absolutely either facilitates our growth or it dampens our growth. And in fact, there was a fabulous book and lots of research. The book came out by Carol Dweck, D-W-E-C-K, called Mindset. And it has a subtitle, and I'm forgetting what the exact title is. But she talks about a growth mindset versus a non-growth mindset, and it's that. For example, here's a perfect example. If you say to a child, "Oh, you're so smart," they accomplish this thing. You say, "Oh, you're so smart." Well, a child really can't increase how smart they are. There's a few things you can do to increase your IQ, but in reality, what is more important is how much effort are you putting forth, or how much smart, strategic effort are you putting forth in trying to accomplish something. And so, if you say to the child, "Wow, you worked really hard on that. You were persistent." Well, working hard and being persistent, those are things that we have control over. And so the more that we can look at, what do I have control over? And we can develop a lot of control over what goes on inside our brain, between our ears, then that absolutely facilitates our mindset.
Beautiful.
Excuse me, it facilitates our growth. It facilitates our growth.
Yep. Oh, this is great. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love how we're talking about what kind of goes, what we're telling ourselves, what goes on in our head, because that can really affect how we view the world, our resilience, our growth, and so many different things. So We are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do that, listeners, I want you to reflect on what Robin has shared so far and kind of see what's speaking to your heart, what's speaking to your spirit, and what are you saying to yourself? It's great to lean in and explore that a little bit. And we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message. It's time to serve, learn, change the world. Tune in each week for the power of young people to change the world, hosted by NYLC CEO Amy Mewers. The program is a forum for both young people and the adults who love and support them. We make connections with others through stories of change, partnership, and new perspectives of issues facing the world today. Be sure to join us every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and 3 p.m. Pacific Time, or anytime on demand on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes and started to perhaps question or lean into, what am I telling myself? What am I saying to myself? What are some of those thoughts? Are they positive and encouraging and supportive? Are they discouraging? Are they hard? I know sometimes we can be so critical and hard on ourselves, pushing ourselves, and we forget sometimes to be encouraging to ourselves, to treat ourselves, this is what my grandma would say, like your own best friend. Remember to be kind and to be encouraging and to speak truth. And then give yourself time to process on a cellular level, to really take it in. So I think it's important to check in, not just go on automatic or autopilot on what we're telling ourselves and not paying attention, because our brain is, our mind is, it's listening. We're listening. Our cells are listening. So what are we saying to ourselves, and how does that tie into our mindset, to our growth, to our resilience? So I'm going to hand the floor over to Robin and have her share a little bit about our mindset, what we're saying, and not just our mindset, but what we're saying to ourselves, what's going on in our head, and how that ties into our resilience. So Robin, I'd love for you to share about that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Well, it's interesting because back in 1991, I was given a book called Learned Optimism by Martin Seligman. And this is, probably 7 years before his seminal speech, which then is known as the starting point of positive psychology. And so in this Learned Optimism, they talk about what is your explanatory style, meaning how do you explain to yourself when something good happens or when something bad happens? What is it? What's the story that you tell yourself? So in the book, it had this pretty extensive survey, all these questions you would answer to try to evaluate and determine what is your explanatory style. And so now computers exist, but the internet does not exist. And so this is something that you just do on a piece of paper and a pencil. You're answering these questions, and you tally up your score. Well, I tallied up my score, and it was off the charts negative. And I was stunned. I thought, okay, so I recalculated it 3 times, thinking I must have made a mistake.
Making sure.
Yeah, but no, it was off the charts negative. And I was stunned because I'm a very cheery, person. And what I came to realize, and then later when I shared this story with Dr. Seligman, in class, and he said it's important to remember that your affect, are you cheery or kind of dour? That it's kind of correlated, but it doesn't determine your level of explanatory style. And so if you, for example, you take a test and you get a bad grade, do you say to yourself, well, I'm just stupid? Or do you say, well, I just didn't study enough and I can study more and do better next time? Mm-hmm. Or if suppose you worked on a project and it went really well at work, and people say, oh, you did a really good job on that project, and you say, oh, well, it was my team, I just did a little bit on it. If you discount your impact on that positive result, that's being negative. If you downplay the impact, granted you need to give credit where credit is due, but that's just an example of, so ever since then, that kind of got me into thinking about how do I think and how do I explain things to myself, which then led me to learn more about Dr. Seligman, which then led me to eventually go back and study with him directly in this Masters of Applied Positive Psychology program and other giants in the field.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So I love this kind of, I think, a different perspective than we see on how we're thinking, what we're telling ourselves, and what can actually be maybe not as positive thinking as we think it is, and having maybe a more positive or supportive way, balanced way to think about things. And I love that example about the test. Are we taking on I'm just stupid, I can't do it? Or, you know what, next time I'll study more. So we're not taking it on as this is speaking a truth to us universally of we're just not able. But are we like, okay, let me learn from that. Next time I'm going to study more, maybe get a good night's sleep, whatever it is that will help me move the dial the direction I want to move it. So I love that. So how does this becoming aware of this and starting to perhaps even shift some of our thinking in that tie into resilience?
Okay, that is a great question, because resilience is directly tied to our explanatory style. And there is a fabulous book called, there's many books on resilience, but one of the foundational ones is written by Karen Rivich and Andrew Chate. Karen Rivich was also one of the professors in the master's program. That's called the Resilience Factor. And there are several foundational elements within resilience, and then there are some skills that we can learn within resilience. And one of my favorite skills is called real-time resilience. And real-time resilience, just like the name implies, happens. It's a skill that you have in your hip pocket that you can pull out and use anytime you find a negative or an unrealistic thought coming into your head. And so there's various strategies and sentence starters that go along with it that help with this. Learning these skills of real-time resilience. But basically, you're learning how to talk to yourself differently. You're, first of all, learning how to identify when you're having a thought that is not helpful or that's not realistic, and how to then counter that thought with different kinds of mental strategies. And so I love it. It's my absolute favorite. It's my go-to skill for changing what goes on between my ears.
Oh, and I like that real time because, when we're in a moment, and especially if it's challenging and we're needing to tap into resilience, that's not the time we need to go figure out what do we do. It's great to have something real time we can just pull on and refer to. So I just have a question for people that we're talking about resilience, and it might mean different things to different people. So I'd love to take a moment and have you share what is resilience and why is that important?
Okay, great. Resilience is the ability to overcome obstacles, navigate through adversity, bounce back from challenges, and to reach out and grow. And those first three elements, overcoming obstacles, navigating through adversity, and bouncing back from challenges, those are reactive in nature. But reaching out and growing is proactive in nature. And I know there's been a lot of important research on, for example, post-traumatic stress syndrome, which is extremely important to know and to deal with appropriately. And there's been a lot of newer research on how to deal with that appropriately. But there's also the phenomenon of post-traumatic growth. And post-traumatic growth is actually slightly more prevalent than the post-traumatic stress syndrome. And it's also possible to have both at the same time. You can still have, the stress syndrome while also engaging in growth. But to know that resilience is this ability that you can kind of envision in fact, one of the visuals I have in the PowerPoints I've created on this, that I've given at various presentations, you can envision a tree in the middle of a hurricane, just getting blown all around. And then once the wind settles down, then the tree kind of comes back, to its shape. Yeah, sure, it's gotten some leaves blown off of it, and maybe a branch or two has gotten knocked off, but the tree, then comes back into its shape. And so that, or you can look at, for example, another visual could be when you have a forest fire. When you have a forest fire, yeah, there's massive devastation, but there are also elements within the forest that need to have that high intense heat in order for new seeds to be, I know I'm totally using the wrong terminology, but for the seeds to be able to open up. And so you go into a forest that's been burned down, some years later, and they have all this lush growth that you wouldn't have expected.
Because of that, and that it was able to bring that, but it took that heat and the clearing of space to create room for that growth. So beautiful examples. And thank you for sharing a little bit about what resilience is and how that can be so powerful. So if we're going to kind of tie this all together, I know that you have your own journey that you have gone on, and some of it started with education, which, has led to so much of the work you're doing today. I'd love for you to share a little bit about your journey.
Well, let's see. That's an interesting question, both broad and narrow. And I would say, my journey would be just learning more and more about how I perceived myself, how I talked to myself, and developing better skills in what I say to myself and in how I perceived myself. And so you're using real time. And I'll just throw this. I didn't necessarily intend to throw this out here now, but for example, my husband of almost 34 years, over 34 years, and unfortunately 2 years ago chose to end our marriage. And so for a time, what would come to mind was, well, I'm damaged goods. Well, and then I thought to myself, well, hey, girl, you got to use this real-time resilience on yourself. And I'd say, well, I know a lot of women whose marriages have ended. I don't view them as damaged goods. So why am I viewing myself as damaged goods? And so I began using this real-time resilience, and there's various strategies within this real-time resilience. And I use that every day, many, many times a day for many, many months, many, many weeks and months. And just, am I thinking something? saying, I'm going to grab that thought and I'm going to wrestle it down to the ground with these real-time resilience skills, and I'm going to change what I say to myself. Well, I was at a retreat. Interestingly enough, this women's retreat happened to land on the weekend of my 65th birthday. So wearing my T-shirt, I went to this retreat. And
I have the visual.
Sharing. Yes, we're in a circle sharing. And I shared, I'm freaking awesome. And if you can't see that, then just get off on the next corner. And so what happened? So going from, hey, I'm damaged goods to I'm freaking awesome. Well, it was using these real-time resilience skills and strategies to change how I think, to change how I behave, to change how I take care of myself, or new things that I will try. And just I'm saying yes to life. I remember when I turned 60 and thought, I'm not sure what's ahead of me, but I'm just going to say yes to life. And that then led me to just on a whim almost going up to Montreal. I've been to Canada when I was a really little girl, went there with my family, but I'd never been there as an adult. Just randomly deciding to go to this International Positive Psychology Association world conference in 2016. Went up there, then learned about this MAP, the Master of Applied Positive Psychology program. Learned about that. Very randomly, in the elevator, I meet Martin Seligman's teaching assistant, who happened to live in Salt Lake City. And I said, I'm going to Salt Lake, in a couple of weeks. Let's have lunch. And then she explained, you don't have to live in Philadelphia to do this program. You just fly back every few weeks and take the classes. And so, it's like this meandering path until, here I am.
But I love that you were willing to face what you were telling yourself and to shift that, and that you kept saying yes wherever that wandering path led, and it's led you to where you are now, and you just kept taking steps. I think that's beautiful and powerful. It's a really great example for all of us. We are getting ready to go to our next commercial break, and as we do that, listeners, I want you to think about your path. What are you telling yourself? Is there something to maybe shift? Is there something that is pulling at your heart to say yes to? You don't have to figure out the how. Like, I love that, how you were sharing this poll and they had a solution, and you didn't have to figure it out all on your own. Like, just each step unfolded as you said yes and kept exploring and following where you were being led. I think we can all learn from that. So during these next 2 minutes, I encourage you to reflect on what she said, what Robin has shared on her journey, on resilience, on what are you saying to yourself, and what is something that you can start shifting in that and that you can start saying yes to. And we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Voice America is on your favorite smart speaker. If you have Alexa or Google Home, go ahead and give us a try.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast on TuneIn.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You need to live up to your full potential. You've heard that for years, but now there's a channel to help you get there. Introducing the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Our listeners have told us that they want to be motivated, hear about success stories, and positive encouragement around the clock. And we've responded to you. The Voice America Empowerment Channel is the home of the world's top life coaches, entrepreneurs, and success experts. Listen to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's here at voiceamericaempowerment.com.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed those 2 minutes, that perhaps you discovered something you've been saying to yourself that you weren't aware of before. Or maybe particularly when we have those hard moments or their challenges or things didn't go quite according to plan. So what are we saying to ourselves? And is that something that we want to perhaps look at shifting? I know one of the things I used to say to myself all the time is, I have to, I should, and then it felt really heavy and not great. And then, the energy wasn't really powerful that I wanted to bring to it. So I started to catch that, and I would start to say, I choose, I get to. Because even if it's not my favorite thing, I'm still choosing to do it, maybe because I don't like the consequences if I don't, but it's a much more empowered place to say, I choose, I get to, I'm doing this, rather than it being this heavy thing, remembering that I do have that choice, I do get to. I'm not doing it because I should, because there's things that maybe we feel like we should do that we don't do, but I'm choosing, I get to. And it shifts the energy for me, and I'm able to show up in a much more empowered place. So what are those things that you're saying to yourselves that perhaps you want to explore shifting a little bit? And what can you say yes to and bring forward? So I promised that we would have Robin share her contact information. So I wanted to do that. I want to give you the opportunity to go deeper. But before we do that, I want you to realize a couple of things. One, we're sharing the contact information on purpose. It's not just for drill. It's because we really want you to be able to connect, to have that access and connection like we do on our show with experts that we have. So we want you to be able to connect, that life is not a solo journey. You can have amazing people walk beside you, support you, and cheer you on, to really claim whatever your birthday year is fully and with excitement as you are moving forward resiliently, positively, and powerfully. So with that, Robin, I'd love for you to share a tip that can help us with either what we're telling ourselves or resilience, and then the best way for people to connect in and go deeper.
Okay, great. The tip is, I'll just share one strategy, my favorite strategy. The strategy is called evidence, and the sentence starter is, that's not true because. So, for example, if you call your daughter and she doesn't pick up the phone, and you start thinking, oh, she didn't pick up the phone because she just doesn't like me and doesn't want to talk to me, you say, that's not true because she has called me to talk to me, and she's told me that she loves me. So you see, you think this thought, you become aware, oh, I'm thinking this, and then you stop, you grab onto that sentence starter, that's not true because. And the evidence has to be accurate, specific, and vivid in order to then counterbalance that. So that's my favorite one.
Beautiful. Thank you. I love it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My contact information is, my website is robinlearningsystems.com. And you can contact me at Robin, ROBIN, at robinlearningsystems.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, the opportunity for people to connect in, and your great tips. I love that. Looking at the evidence. So really, really powerful.
Yes.
Thank you so much
for
sharing.
having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And listeners, I want to thank all of you for joining, for leaning in, for saying yes to you and to this time together. And I want to encourage you to connect in with Robin and go deeper and look at some of these skills that you can build to support you on your resilience. And then also, perhaps when you're exploring that yes, what am I saying yes to? Maybe you're feeling that pull and that call to start sharing your message, your story, your expertise, some of what you have learned to help others. If that's you, I want to encourage you to check out the speakertalentsearch.com. It's speakertalentsearch.com. It's an opportunity for you to share and potentially get in front of programs like ours, people that are looking for amazing experts to interview, to showcase on their stages, on their shows. So if you are looking for an opportunity to reach more people, share your message, you're feeling that, I'm ready to say yes to that. I'm ready to stretch. I'm ready to lean into that. I want to encourage you and support you by having you lean into speakertalentsearch.com. And as you are getting ready to go back out into the world, I want you to know that you are beautifully and wonderfully made, absolutely needed for such a time as this. You matter, you have value, and you are needed. I want to encourage you to share the biggest gift you can share, which is more of you. Be willing to share the gift of you. Find a way to reach out, connect, touch another heart and life, and be willing to open your heart, your life, and share it with another, encourage another, and speak truth and light into their life, and receive it when it's spoken into yours. So as you go forward, choose to bloom where you are planted and shine. Have an amazing week, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter, next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.